Hi, I am Mohammed Abdul Karim. This is the second part of Introduction to Fisheries and Wildlife. This part is mainly wildlife, and the topics today are characteristics of wildlife management and wildlife population. If you are really enjoying this video, please kindly subscribe. Thank you. Wildlife population. Whether the wildlife management is active or passive, consideration should be given to population, habitat, and people. Early definition of wildlife focus on wildlife animals, domesticated and undomesticated, free-ranging animals that could be hunted for sport or food. Active means deliberate intervention in the management of wildlife resources, where passive you allow the nature to take care of itself. The definition of wildlife management are about as numerous as authors and professional biologists. Early wildlife biologists view wildlife management as the art of making land to produce adequate game for recreational use, maybe hunting, fishing, or trapping. Later definition emphasized wildlife management as the science of manipulating wildlife population and their habitat for specific human goal. Current definitions stress wildlife management as applied animal ecology that benefits the habitat and both wildlife and human population. These characteristics should include population, habitat, and people, and should be related to structure, dynamics, and the relationship of the system. There are some differences, but three common ideas are present in every definition of wildlife management. Number one, efforts should be directed toward wildlife animal population. How to control or increase or maintain wildlife population. Number two, relationship of habitat to those wildlife animal population. Is the habitat suitable? Does it have enough food and water? And number three, manipulation of habitat or population that are done to meet human goal. Manipulation of habitats include active method of wildlife management by planting grasses and other things that animal needs in order to survive. And then manipulation of the population, it could be through organizing hunting so that you'll be able to take care of the population of elephants that are destroying the habitats. Early wildlife biologists view wildlife management as the art of making land to produce adequate game for recreational use. It could be hunting, fishing, and or trapping. Thanks. Wildlife management can be a complex process whereby a landowner or biologist conducts habitat and wildlife population inventories and evaluation to determine what people really desire from the wildlife resources. Structure, dynamics, and habitat are very important elements when studying wildlife populations. Structure refers to the classification of wildlife. It is used to classify the system and their name. Population structure essentially relate animal to its sex, age, classes. This will enable biologists, ecologists to study the data for useful information when thoroughly analyzed. The structure here is very, very important. Example, if you go on pilgrimage, you will notice that population of blacks is not seen, but there are blacks in the midst of the population. But because the percentage of blacks in the population is not up to 20%, and the population of white are more than 80, so it is not a mixed population of black and white. It is a pure population of white, despite the fact that there are black among the population. For a population to become mixed, the black should be more than 20% or 20%, and white 80%. So also sex and class. If there are many female up to 90 and the male less than 20, you will not see the male in the population if you are to take aerial pictures of the population. Dynamics. Dynamics express changes and differences that occur within the system. These include growth, mortality, and the relationship of these changes and interaction, such as soil moisture, relationship, and composition. It is important to know that animals occupy a large area, and in most cases they are difficult to control. Habitat. Study on the habitat. It's important to know that animals occupy a large area, and in most cases they are difficult to control. Wildlife habitat are mangrove, high forest, Guinea savanna, Sudan, and Sahel. Habitat requirement of wildlife include shelter, water, and breeding site. Home range is the area within which an animal habitually do travel to. When the condition is bad, they move out of the habitat. As soon as the condition is good, they come back to the habitat. People here are also the subject of manipulation. They can be manipulated through advertisement, using media, radio, television, informing them of the importance of managing wildlife resources and the benefit of wildlife to their livelihood and survivorship. The population of animals is the total sum of animals inhabiting a common geographical area and region at a specific range of time. This area could be large or small. The population may be of many kinds of animal. Population is the basic unit of management. Individuals, animals belong to population. Each is influenced by the same characteristics as social grouping within the population. If you have animals that are troublesome, they can influence other animals within the population. So also, when you are going out with bad guys, they can influence you to take that bad habit. This implies that changes in the characteristics of animal population will affect the behavior of individual animal. The population of animal at any given time may be characteristically be defined as density, birth rate, mortality, and dispersal. Density is difficult to measure because of difficulty of counting the area occupied by the animals. Density changes in time and season as animals are born or die, or move in or move out. There are direct methods of counting animals. It may include head counts of the animal using identified landmarks where most of all the animals do meet, like soil, link, site, water site, and so forth. Area count with the use of helicopter is also another direct method. Indirect methods include the use of footprints of animals or use of animal dung and so on. Biomass is the quantity of live animals present in an area in terms of weight per mass of the animal supported by per unit area. The difference here with density is that density refers to number of individual animals, whereas biomass is the quantity measured in weight per mass of the animal supported by unit area. It also allows comparison of animal species. The carrying capacity of an area or habitat could be assessed. When biomass is measured, it is important to talk of energy. You see, it will enable you to know the carrying capacity of that particular area. There is no point in encouraging reproduction if there are no sufficient food to feed these animals. Mortality. Before we move to mortality, let's come back to biomass. Biomass and density in relation to carrying capacity of a habitat could be used to determine management strategy for cropping of animals in terms of times and quantity and quality to be cropped. The biomass which an area can support depends on the productivities as well as nutritional value of the vegetation of an area. Mortality refers to death of animal which can be due to artificial or natural causes. Mortality refers to the animals or number of animals dying at a particular time over the total number of animals alive. Parasite, disease, competition, hunting, and occasional stress can be responsible for mortality. The numbers of animals alive could be used as index to know the ones that have died. Movement and dispersal of animals can be divided into two, namely movement that is internal and movement that is external. Which are preoccupied by animals. Internal movement of animal can be migration, while external can be immigration in the reserve. The movements of animal can be as a result of search for food or shelter. Movement, it is a periodic departure of animal population to other areas. It may be seasonal. This movement is very important to the survival of animals. The migration of animals will give some group of animals advantage of food and shelter. Animals move out of their area when the condition is not favorable for them, but eventually they can return to the same area when the condition is favorable. At the initial, population of animal is very small, but due to presence of abundant food will bring about low mortality until it reaches top level. At this top level, the food will not, at this level, if the food will not satisfy the population animal, as such there is stress. When the population of animal continue to increase at decreasing rate, the carrying capacity of the area will be reached. There are, of course, advantages of migration of animals. Number one, it permits animal population to spread to new area. The movement will permit exploitation of habitat. It may be essential for survival of other animals. Sex ratio, SR, is the number of animals in population with respect to gender. It is important because it indicates procreation potential of the animal. The potentiality of animals to reproduce. The relative proportion of male and female animals tend to influence amount of treatments of animal population and food requirement of the animals. It also indicates ability to produce population and food requirement of the animals. Information on sex ratio allow effective monitoring of habit of different species and number of female animals that can be serviced. Monogamy is defined as the pairing of male and female, while polygamy is the pairing of male with more than one female. Breeding is a social establishment in animals population. between male and female. The management of monogamous population is difficult than polygamous breeding pair. Sex ratio is expressed as the number of male per 100 female. As you can see in the slide, the formula here indicates that sex ratio equals to number of males all over number of female. Is the same thing as percentage of population of male if you are dealing with percentages. All over percentage of population of female equals to x over 100, because one male, one animal can service 100 female animals. If I may ask you, what is the sex ratio of population where there are 1063 bulls and 2784 cows? The solution here is very simple. You have males 1063 and you have female 2789. Put them there in the equation box, equals to s over 100. You do cross multiplication. When you do cross multiplication and you do the calculation to that, you have sex ratio of 38 male to 100 female in that population. This implies that there are 38 males in every 100 females in the population. What if 60% of the population are males? Find the sex ratio. The solution here is very simple. Percentage population of female equals 100 minus 60%. It will give you 40%. Then the males 60, the female 40 equals to s over 100. Do cross multiplication to find x. Sex ratio will be 150 to 100. For every 150 males, there are 100 females.